And we want to approve the December 3rd minutes. Does anybody have any comments concerning the minutes?
Look good to me.
Okay. So do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, and somebody want to second that?
Second it.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. So the focus of this meeting is largely about the scenic resources inventory. And what we'd like to do is go through all these locations and hopefully look at the pictures and make a decision on how they rate. So I'm going to hand it over to Karen Edelstein.
Okay. So I just did share my screen, and I hope you can see what I can see.
Mhm. Yeah.
So this map is really, it was pretty amazing to get so much input from so many people over such a short time, and I hope that I've done justice to what was collected. We're still getting some information back, including photographs that I've not yet added in, but I'll show you, if some of you are not as familiar as others about how these interactive maps can be used. I'm going to give you just a sort of a quick walkthrough, and then after that we can talk about what the next steps will be in terms of what additional information I think each area leader could supply, as well as pictures. And then following that, I think we would probably get together and have sort of a more detailed show and tell where we can vet our assessments and choices collectively. That sounds good to everybody. So on this map right now, it shows all of the sites which have been reviewed by folks on the CAC, as well as some suggested additions to the site. And you ask, perhaps, how do I know what color stands for what? Well, here's our inventory review by site, and if you follow this little arrow caret here, it opens up and it shows you what the code is. So these are assessments that people made individually as they were checking out their locations, keep, delete, or some people were uncertain or the comments were a little bit ambiguous, and so I left that as unclear. Similarly, the suggested additions are shown in purple. The power lines are green. And this comes into play when we start thinking about, well, are there any of these scenic views potentially, could they be endangered? Do we have a say in this, whether they're endangered by potential large-scale solar installation that would most easily tap into this big trunk line coming from Milliken Station? So that's all that. Oh, and then lastly, the original sites, I set this so that they don't show up immediately. But those are all the sites in black. And you can see that some people took their sites, most of them were largely where the inventory mapped them, but some were slightly offset, and some people, we can get into this, felt like perhaps they should shift a little bit, a few hundred feet maybe down the way. The reason why I left this turned off is this. You can always turn it back on, but if you reopen the map, it will show up as turned off. So if I click on this site, as you would with any interactive map, it's not going to show me that much about the site. that you've collected, because in that position on the map, there's actually 3 things. So it's showing the original inventory, it's showing what zone that point is in, and it's also showing, this is the critical one, the information that was collected. So if I go back and turn off the original sites, at least you only have 2 to scroll through, okay? So that's about that. If you want to, say you've been to a place, but you're not really sure which is where, I think this will work. If I type in Ludlowville Road, for example, that will zoom me right to Ludlowville. So that's a way to at least assist yourself in navigating around approximately, because Lansing's a big place. Any questions about navigating the map or glitches that you've run into at all?
Karen, sorry, but how did you get the box to come up where you typed in Ludlowville Road? Was it under info?
You see where
Oh, I got you. Okay, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's a little a little tricky. It's kind of invisible sometimes, but there it is. And you can see also on this, you may have noticed that the information that shows is a little scale dependent. Like if this zoomed far out, you just have the roads with lines. But as we get in closer, you not only have the roads and their names, but also the building footprints, which may also help in sort of figuring out where you are in the scheme of things. Okay. So, any other questions, Carrie, or John, or Tom, Todd?
No, just that I guess it's really a great feature, and I hadn't quite realized. So when you have the option of selecting the different base maps in that 4-part quadrangle there, do you mind just opening that thing?
Sure. So here with the base maps, you have a choice of like at least 9 different base maps, 10. So right now it's set on this topographic one, but if I want to get an aerial image with the street names on it, I can just zoom in to that. And, again, maybe the street names don't show, maybe it's just the place names on this one, but you can very easily toggle back and forth between different base maps in this. If you want to go really minimalist, you can just go with gray. So no matter what, if I closed this program now and then reopened it, it would reset to what the default is. And that's with this turned off and the topographic map in the background. So don't feel alarmed at all. There's no way that you can save your work, but there's really not anything to lose either. So it'll all be there, and you can't break it. So don't worry about that.
That's a great introduction. And what we might do is we can pass to Tom, but I just wanted to show people to make this map, Karen needed to assemble information. And now we're actually going to use that information as we begin to prioritize the sites. And so if I can share my screen, then what I will do is just, I will show, oops, I guess, let's see.
Do I have to unshare mine? Probably.
Yeah, okay. And then.
Yeah, and Karen, can you remind me, Karen, are all these sites accessible from publicly accessed areas? Is that how these are defined?
Exactly.
Okay.
So some of you have already seen this, but essentially we took the Lansing map area, so that's divided up by people on the CAC, the site number. You know, Karen was just clicking on those sites. She put in a link for the photo, and then tonight we're gonna focus on D, E, F, and G, which are essentially Karen has pre-populated D, which is, are we going to keep it or delete it? But there are quite a few questions, and there's some that you can see are proposed sites where we haven't really made a decision. So like John G and Karen proposed a bunch of sites. And so we haven't really made decisions about that.
Robin,
but we're gonna,
Robin proposed a lot.
oh, and Robin, yes. And so we're going to try to determine whether these sites are distinctive, noteworthy, and characteristic, maybe without getting too granular. However, that little asterisk means that I have actually put in definitions of those in this spreadsheet if we want to go there. But I think everybody knows distinctive is wow, noteworthy is like, oh, stop and gaze, and characteristic is like, yeah, I see it all the time, but I would hate for it to go. Then you can just see we've got descriptions where people gave them. And as folks are going through the sites, I will try to type in what you are describing. So if we bring up a photo, but you haven't written a description of it, then no, for you, John, I will try to type in what you say about these sites to the best of my ability. And then if you can think about it, starting with column M there, the county actually had these subcategories, and it could help us down the road to see if we want and have a balance of scenic views. So we've tried to populate this also, just, you know, is it lake, is it stream, is it distant views? You know, I don't want to get too down in the weeds tonight, but if, as you're describing these different sites or evaluating them, we have an opportunity to click on, you know, whether it's, you know, streams or trails, great. But we won't get too hung up on that. I just wanted to know if you see this sort of a blank look on my face, it means that I'm working on the spreadsheet. So that's what's happening there. All right, so I will stop sharing so that we can go back to Tom and have the map on with Karen. Does that sound like the plan?
And I just want to add one thing too. Those determinations, distinctive, noteworthy, and characteristic, those are already assigned to different sites in the original inventory, but just like their determination of it should be included or not, I think that those are also up to us to assess. So I kind of like it, Carrie, that you've left that open-ended. And then the other last part of it, just to sort of give the big picture overview, is once we determine which are our, you know, top dozen or so sites, we want to say, okay, you're standing at this site and you're looking towards the northwest. About, if you were going to spread your arms out in front of you, would it be about a 90-degree view? Would it be expansive, you know, and be 180? Or is it really just a small wedge that view shed is in? But that's going to be a next step in the process.
Okay. So Karen, do you want to, we'll use your map and you can point to the particular sites and then we can discuss.
Yeah, we can do that. They're not in, I guess it's going to mean that Carrie, we'll do it region by region, but they're not going to necessarily be in numerical order. So you'll just have to kind of jump around a little bit on your spreadsheet if that's okay.
No, that's okay. Did you want it to start, Tom, or do you feel like we should just do it geographically?
Well, we're going to do it by section, right?
Yes.
And we want some input from whoever cataloged these.
Yep.
Who took the pictures.
Yeah. So I'm happy to start, if that makes sense. I see your arrows pointing into the area that I canoed in.
Sure.
So this I would definitely stick with deleting. It is pretty residential. It was bewildering as to why this was chosen, unless we were really in the wrong spot. However, I was canoeing with my husband and we spoke with people on the shore, and we asked whether their house was just about on the line between Tompkins and Cayuga, and they said yes. And he actually told us a little story about that. So I felt pretty confident when I took this photo that I had the coordinates of where this was. And so I would delete that from our special consideration and move on to the area. I think that has a photo associated with it, right, Karen? Yeah, so this is a really beautiful area.
Yeah, they're kind of similar, right? So
yes, there's a view looking south, and then there's a view looking north. And I think you might have just put in one of those views for the photos, Karen. But these I flagged as very beautiful. It's a 360-degree view on those. So let's see. On the spreadsheet, all I did was sort of boldface them because I knew I needed to present. But I mean, I would put them somewhere between distinctive and noteworthy, just because it's so untouched by human hands in these particular spots. So I don't know how I should actually code that, but maybe we'll gain a little bit more clarity as we keep going.
You say that these really could be merged into a single view if you're saying it's 360 anyway?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that could be just one.
And so just looking at the original points, both of this one and that one refer to it as a 360-degree view. So again, it's unclear to me why, if you just stuck a point right here and called it a 360-degree view, why that wouldn't be sufficient.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's agreeable to me. And I'll make a note of that. And then moving further south, there were other sites that were lovely. You know, you'd hate to see like another power plant put there. But if we're going to need to streamline our choices, I think I would go for a couple of other options. A little further south, there's an option of viewing down the lake, and that's actually really quite pretty. I think, Karen, somehow this photo and my description don't go together. This is John Alexander's property, and so something got confused there, and I think it's the red one that actually has the lovely view. Yeah, this is really a very beautiful view.
Could you, are you able, even while you're talking, and maybe we can have a moment of silence for you to focus, can you make a note on the spreadsheet to that effect?
Yes, yeah. And I was gonna bring it up to you earlier, but I just realized this is a really busy week for you. So yeah. So I think that's site five. Yeah, location 5. So 4 and 5 are switched.
That's easy.
And then as you move further south, these 3 sites here are waterfalls, and they're also caves. And so I just wanted to, hate to have Karen stop sharing her screen, but they are they're pretty impressive, actually. And so that one, yeah. You and I might need to get together, Karen, because I'm pretty sure that these along here are the Sims property.
Yeah, and you just sent me more photos today, and I haven't.
Yeah. Actually, since your screen, I don't know if you can pull up one of them just to show people, but they're really lovely sites. And here's the tricky thing. I don't think they're particularly threatened now because that area is going to be a preserve. On the other hand, they are quite special. So CJ, maybe this is a question for you. Just because we know something's going to be preserved, does that mean that we don't include it as a scenic resource? I think we include it anyway, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely.
Yep, you can include it as a scenic resource. Yeah, even if it's protected open space or to be protected. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did I just switch my screen share? Did that show?
It shows. Yeah. And so this is one of the caves that has fallen in, and then there are two that are still small caves and waterfalls when the water is flowing and the water flows over them. And it flows over the cave, and it's really pretty incredible. You can see there the dark part is the recessed cave. There's a series of these along the lake there. And anyway, I would just recommend that they be included, partly because they're so special to see as you're going along the lake. And then also just the combination of features there, stone and water. Not particularly highlighted because this was during a dry period, but. Okay, so I will turn it over. Do you want to go, Robin? I don't know. I'm trying to think where we are spatially here.
Well, these other
Oh, yeah.
Andra's, and
those were Andra's points. And I don't know what she was thinking.
Maybe why don't we
uh-oh. Rose up, Tom. You still there? Ooh, he's gone.
Oh, Tom!
Raptured.
We lost you in cyberspace. Oh no, our fearless chair. You know what that means.
Well, why don't we go ahead and we can do Robin's if you want.
Great.
I'm pointing at the screen. I realize you can't see that. So I'm in that little region there. Yep, where the mouse is. So I see you're hovering in the water. That one in the water I did not go to because I don't have a canoe. So I was not able to look at it from the water. But I'm not sure. Carrie, did you go that far down? Did you happen to look at that one?
I have been there, but I didn't take a photo or anything of it.
Yeah, so that one was supposed to be a view from the water, so I didn't go to that one, but I did the one that I see you're hovering at Myers Point. I think we've all been to Myers Park and would agree that it's scenic. I took some photos. That one I just suggest that we keep it, and the accuracy of the coordinates seemed pretty spot on, so I was happy with that.
Robin, did you send me photos? What?
I was just trying to remember that because there are some in your map, and if I didn't send them to you, I don't know who did.
There's at least one, I think that one, which is a photo that I took, because I don't think that I got any from you, but you did send me some today.
I sent you a few photos today that were from the that were just of the new proposed locations.
Yeah, I don't think I have them from the original cut though.
Okay, I see that there's a photo there. I don't know if I didn't take that. I don't know if somebody else did.
This one here. Are you talking about? Because I took that one.
You took it? Oh, so you must have added in your own pictures?
I did.
Oh, okay. Well, I did take some, so I can show them. I just didn't put them anywhere. They're not great photos. They're iPhone pictures. I can share them. So getting back to Salt Point, I keep trying to zoom in there, Karen.
Oh, well,
I'm not driving this, but Salt Point.
wait, I think I can give you control, right?
That's okay. I mean, I'm just trying to differentiate so that people can see that Salt Point is a different one from Myers Park. I may have changed that one. There was one that was sort of on the northern side of the northwest edge of the little peninsula. So I suggested just moving it down to a more expansive view. I think Salt Point offers a different view. It looks in a different direction and looks nice.
So I just want to clarify, are you suggesting moving which one down to a more expansive view? You saying this one, or
if you were to click on the legend and click on the original point.
Okay, so you're saying move that one.
I thought it was a little more scenic. It doesn't make too much of a difference, but I thought the tip of the peninsula was a little more open. The location where the little original dot is where there's the little free, it looks like the little free library and the bench area. If you're familiar with it, it's nice, but it's a little bit more wooded around it. And then the one that I'm suggesting in yellow was just more of an open area, so you could see more of the lake. They're both fine.
I agree with you, Robin. And I also think that I look back into the inventory, the county's inventory, and they have a photo there of the broad lake and a great big tree. And that photo seems like it was taken where the yellow dot is.
Okay, so we want to adjust that one then.
Yeah, so that means move point 54 to where yellow point is.
There's certainly nothing wrong with point 54. If I was going to pick one point for Salt Point, it would be the most kind of the expansive point where you're looking out on more of the lake. Yeah,
I agree, and it also gives you, good views out to the spit, also where the snowy owl was 2 days ago. So
you're kidding.
Yeah, it was there, and it was at Ladoga, I think.
Yeah, we had a snowy owl visit Myers Park and the marina area and the Salmon Creek mouth. It was an exciting bird.
2 days ago.
Yeah. Gotta get on the birding listserv. I didn't go down. I just read about it.
Okay, are we happy with those?
So this is just move this one to here, and then this one here. You like?
I think it's fine. Yeah, and I would think it's as good as any of the other images that Carrie showed. So I don't know if I would call it distinctive, but it's certainly very nice, and it's a beautiful, expansive view of the lake. So no development, so it's really nice little spot.
Is that where the lighthouse is, or is the lighthouse actually a little bit further to the south?
You're kind of where the point is. You're standing.
Lighthouse is here.
Yeah, so that point is taken basically if you move up a little bit where that little beach, what do you call it, a boardwalk thing that goes out onto the lake. It's it's basically right there. Or at least that's where I took the photos from. So the lighthouse is in the view. It should be in the view. Sorry, if I'm looking all over the place, it's because I'm trying to look at my notes, my photos, and the map. That's 3 screens, so my eyeballs are roaming around. Okay, who's next? Those ones in purple are new. So those would be new.
So should we do those or go back to them?
It's up to you.
Let's do them.
Do them? Okay. So move in.
So that one I sent you some photos of that one, or I can screen share. That's the top of Myers Hill. That one, if I know what I'm looking at. That's as you're coming down the lake, down Myers Road. The top of the hill, it kind of looks over this open little parcel here in the triangle where there's an osprey platform and some bird boxes. And it's a nice look at the lake. And I thought this one might be better than one of the existing ones that is, for whatever reason, located in the high school parking lot behind a track field. So that one I didn't think was as nice as this one. So you might argue that this one is not super nice, but it's better than the one that was on the inventory. So I'm suggesting it as an alternative.
I can open that up, I think. So
what was that?
I'm trying to screen share your pictures.
Oh yeah. So that's Littleville. So this is just, this is kind of just a little meadow area with an osprey pole, but you can see the lake. That picture doesn't show the lake particularly great. I'm not a good photographer, but you can see the lake, and you're just kind of coming down the hill, and it's kind of a nice first look at the lake as you're coming down Myers Hill.
Hold on 1 second.
If anybody ever goes to the marina or Myers Park, I'm hoping that people know where this is, and this isn't totally unfamiliar to you.
Sure.
So I'm just gonna scroll through that folder, and it might not be in any particular order. Oh, this is similar to that picture that I took, right?
Yeah, but I think this is Portland.
Oh, Portland Point. Okay.
Portland Point Road, which is maybe my least favorite of the new ones that I suggested. But I thought it's a look at the lake, so it's not terrible, but maybe wouldn't make the cut if we were being picky.
I would say compared to some of the sites that new sites that John Greenlee is suggesting, which are like looking down East Lake Road and Black Chin. I think that those probably rise more than this one, but it certainly is a great view.
It is over by Cargill, so it's already got some development and industry. So I don't know if you kind of have to stand in the right spot to not see that. So just for consideration, it's maybe a bit of a more hidden view, but not, again, better than some of the other ones that were in my section.
All right, should I go on to the next one?
Yeah.
Guess where? How did we miss it?
We cannot not have Ludlowville Falls in the inventory, and it needs to be a distinctive view. It's just, it's beautiful. It's obviously an oversight that it's not in there. Even my terrible photography skills can capture it. Okay.
Great.
I think we all agree on that.
There was a second picture. Okay, and then it looks like, where is this?
This is Lakeshore Road, and again, maybe it's not super spectacular, but this is where we have an opportunity to stand at the level of the lake and look out at it, as opposed to coming. A lot of mine were long views down a hill, so this one is just standing at the shore of the lake, looking out. You have the railroad in the foreground, and it's just you could stand. I think it's probably private property on the other side, or railroad property, but
a road goes right down to that.
Yeah, there's a public road that I stood on to take the picture. So it's nice. It's a nice, like, flat look at the lake. Maybe if we have an overabundance of lake shots, then maybe we don't need this one, but I didn't think it was terrible.
I don't know, not every community can boast a lake.
I know. And if we could figure out, like, well, how many miles is that's probably like, what, 15 miles to that far point. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, maybe 12.
Yeah, I just drive by it every day, and I think that's such a pretty view, and I feel so lucky to live by it. But maybe many other people in Lansing also have a similar view and feel the same way. But it's nice. Nice long views of the lake. This is just Ludlowville Falls, but a little bit further. I was trying to show that you really basically have a 180-degree view. You can really look downstream too, and it's also scenic. So that's just what that photo is showing.
That's awesome. I think that's great. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the map. I'm better at this. Okay, so just to review, that was this was the lake view site. This is the Portland Point site, right?
Right.
And
And then the Myers Hill is where the Osprey Pole and the downhill view of the lake.
You had a lot to look at. And then there's this one at Ludlowville Falls, and then the fishing access. Did you?
Oh yes, I did not take a picture of this, or if I did, I can find it. This is a DEC fishing access called the Upper Fishing Access. It might already be protected, but there's a pond. It's I guess it's really Salmon Creek, but it pools in a pond and people stand there and fish, and it's kind of pretty. I noticed that ponds and streams were on the list of things that are considered scenic, so I added that one in. I failed to take a picture of it for some reason, but I thought that one might be worth considering.
Yeah, that's a nice spot.
And I will say this summer when the water was so low, we walked on the limestone all the way to here. And it's an amazing hike. And I believe since it's navigable waters, that's public to be able to walk on the stream bed. And it's absolutely like going into another dimension. It's so nice. Really.
Yeah. So Tom, I'm not a fisher person. I don't fish, so I don't really know. I don't fully understand if it's protected scenery or not. But it's a fishing access that is. There's a little sign that the DEC put up, so it looks public.
The land just uphill from that is all private.
Yeah, and it's an easement. It's not owned by DEC as far as I know.
Yeah, but you are allowed to access the water from that spot, from the turnaround there. At least that's my understanding.
Yeah, and
there is a fisherman trail there.
Yeah, that goes on.
I mean, people walk along there all the time. But I know that land is being subdivided into 2 or 3 lots.
Yeah,
but the planning board wants to keep that the bottom 100 feet or so to leave it as natural and not put any structures in there.
Yeah, that was approved by planning board. So 100 feet from the center line, heading north or northwest towards Maple is,
Yes.
yeah, that's protected area.
Yeah, there's some information on the website about the fishing regulations and what species of fish can be fished there. It has some recreational value as well.
Yeah, that's a beautiful spot. It really is.
Yeah, I don't know if we, yeah, I mean, I don't know if it rises to the very top level of distinction, but it was a pretty little pond. There were some ducks on it. You know, I enjoyed spending a few minutes there looking for birds. It's pretty.
No, but it's a nice hike both up and downstream of that. There's some waterfalls that come in upstream of it that are beautiful. It's not a great, that particular point's not great for fishing, but upstream and downstream of it are okay. But I know that's not the point of this, but anyway.
Well, I'm glad there are people here with more experience of walking up and down it, because I didn't get in the water or on the creek bed and walk around in there. I just looked at it from the parking.
Yeah, right there where the pointer is. That's a lovely little confluence right there.
Yeah, that area is actually known throughout the geological world as a really, it's private, it's private access, but it's known for some really interesting geological anomalies. There's igneous rocks that come up through the limestone in there, and you don't find it very often. And it's actually there are places where that actually can carry diamonds with it. But this was a very, very popular stream in the Victorian era that they did a ton of like old historic Ludlowville shots are of these people dressed very fancily, having picnics up and through here and on the other stream. So it's pretty special.
And what's the walking access like?
That's owned by Larry Beck, I'm pretty sure, the lower part.
Some of it's Larry Beck, some of it Brandon Kane, who lives here, who's the manager of Green Star. You access the other creek, which I don't know, maybe it's this, is it that one? No, I'm not sure, but there are two, one of which shows on the map.
Well, so it's not it's private land. So would I be able to go there and try to add a point, or no?
If you're sneaky, you can go there. It's a lovely walk up that stream, but yeah, you are trespassing.
Okay.
I guess it's this here. One of them is called Townley Creek, and I can't remember what the other creek name is. Right here. So yeah, it's quite stunning. And there's native Pinkster azalea up here too, which is really uncommon in this area. So and then we've got a couple of the head scratchers, and like here's one looking at a house.
Yes, that one I have to. Is that the one that looks at the little blue Victorian house?
Yeah, or the wood pile next to them.
Yeah, it technically like looks like it's pointed at the property boundaries, but if you just imagine that it must have been situated around the blue house at some point before they updated the Google Maps. There's a point in there that is just like what you might call downtown Ludlowville, if Ludlowville can be said to have a downtown. It's like an old Main Street feel with some Victorian homes. It's a very, very tiny rural character location that I imagine was added for historical and cultural value, not as much as the scenic value. It's a cute home. It's not a scenic vista or point that you would go look at specifically, but it's a cute rural character. So I imagine that is why that one was originally added to the inventory.
For that one, I mean, I wonder if it is for cultural significance. there are so many beautiful historic homes in Ludlow. It seems odd to me that maybe they picked that one, but I wonder if this point really is supposed to designate this, as a site, because, arguably the brick block, which is the old business district here, looking at the church, which is now apartments, looking at the sad school that is in ruins back here. I mean, that I could see possibly including. I just, hesitate to focus on this thing.
The school in ruins was actually really cool. I didn't know that
Yeah,
was
I
back
agree. There's a
there.
bunch of little gems in there.
To me, my interpretation of the point was that it was looking in a specific direction, and that specific direction was pointed at the blue house, but maybe I misinterpreted the map and it was really meant to be a 360-degree kind of cultural view.
I think you're right. Yeah, 45-degree view looking straight east, boom, right there.
How about the point further south there that's pretty close to the bridge? What direction are they? 180.
That's south over the bridge, which again,
I imagine that point was meant to be on the bridge or from very near the overlook, because if you just drive down there, it's sort of closed off to construction. I couldn't go any further to look at it. I believe it's
open.
Still closed, right?
No, it's open.
It's open.
It's open now. Maybe I can go look at it. But it was closed at the time, so I didn't get too close to the edge. But I thought it was meant to be on the bridge, kind of looking out over the water, or standing somewhere on a gorge or something like that. But that one I couldn't get to.
Well, there's a little parking area there for fishermen on the south side of the bridge.
That parking area might have been covered with barricades when I went. I'm not sure. It was pretty well barricaded.
Yeah, so that's a 2-lane bridge now, sadly. But so, I mean, the views up and down the creek there are views up and down the creek. I don't think they're anything personally. I mean, they're lovely, but I don't think they're like jaw-dropping particularly. Like down here they are, but you can't get there publicly.
Yeah, I was gonna say the canyon below the bridge is really kind of stunning to walk through.
Was it possible that the bridge itself was part of was it original, like a historic bridge, or was it charismatic in some way?
I don't think so.
There's also a waterfall north of where you're pointing, Karen, across the bridge. Yeah, on the left-hand side there. Yeah. But there was no noting of that anywhere, right?
It's seasonal. That waterfall, this one over here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But just something about how it comes right next to that house and everything. It's like pretty amazing. But sounds like nobody remarked on it.
I didn't know there was a waterfall there.
Yeah, maybe it was dry. All right. So is that the extent of your points, Robin?
No, there were more.
Okay. You had a busy time of it.
So there were a couple, yeah. Let me remind myself what these were. I think that one where it's near where it says Portland. I may have adjusted that coordinate since I see the yellow coordinate nearby, but not on that one. Look at my notes to see what did I say about that.
Oh, sorry, I can bring that up. Happy.
I'm just trying to find my notes about what that one was originally called. Is that the one that's the view of the Lansing United Methodist Church?
Yeah, that's right by the church.
Okay. I put, this is a view from just east of Lansing United Methodist Church. Arrow doesn't seem to point in the correct direction, but the view of the lake here is nice. So Karen's original map, it had an arrow pointing that may have been pointing more into a residential area than at the lake. So that one I just said it was nice. And I think I have some photos of it. You can dig up. The one on Brickyard Road, I was not impressed with that. I wrote that this is a view from the track parking lot. It's okay, not super impressive. The school complex is in the foreground, so you're kind of standing in the school property. I couldn't see the lake. I could see some distant hills that were visible, but this one was my one that I felt that we could probably delete and I wouldn't be upset about it. I'm not sure why that would have originally been chosen. It seems like it's right next to the high school track, or maybe it's the middle school, I'm not sure which, but there's like a track field and sports complex there.
Ridiculous light pollution at night.
Yeah, that one I wasn't in love with that one.
Okay, say bye-bye.
Oh, you can see my notes there. I guess you can see that for yourself.
Yeah, so you think that we should just refine where somewhere either along here or in here is the best view of the lake?
Yes, I would say that where I put the new yellow dot was better for me, for what I could see. And visibility changes seasonally. It's possible that if the leaves were off the trees or it was a different time of year, they might have picked it for lovely fall foliage, but that's not what I saw. It went at a different time of year. So it's kind of hard to say, some of them, maybe they have really good fall foliage views or really good winter views, but at that time when I went, it didn't look like anything special to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Buck Road and Wilson Road, I wrote that I thought that the map point was too far north. So actually, if you look further north on Buck Road, that is where the original point was. I didn't see anything there, and I can only imagine that it was supposed to be here. I put that I believe that this is a nice view over a long open field, and you can see distant hillsides. So that one I took some pictures of too. I thought that looked really nice. The guy that owned the property on the east side of the street kind of looked at me, thought I was weird for stopping there and taking pictures. So I spent a lot of time there because he was out in his yard looking at me like I should move on. But it was nice looking.
Right. Yeah. In the past, that intersection had some interesting things. They had a nice historical building. Kippy Buck had a sawmill just on the southwest side of it. So there might have been some historical elements there, but they're not really there anymore. And so I don't know why we would maintain that.
Yeah, that's
you're talking about the point further north?
No,
the point right at the intersection. There used to be some really interesting historical structures and things there, but there was a huge tree that may have fallen down now too. That was really, but yeah, I don't see anything super special about the intersection anymore.
It's, for me, there was no historical building that I was interested in. It was a really long open meadow with with a nice hillside in the background. So it was nice. You were driving by, you would look at it and think, oh, that's nice. Yeah. So to me, that meadow, it was the only thing I could imagine in that general vicinity that somebody would stop and look at. The point further north, I have no idea what that was supposed to be looking at.
Okay, I'm one intersection off in my statement. So yeah, no, I see what you're seeing.
But so this field on the left side of the road is a nice little meadow. You can see some hills in the back, in the far distance if you're looking in that direction. I don't know if it rises to the level. I'm trying to figure out where I did with all the photos that I took. somewhere in my iCloud that I'm trying to find, but it was nice. No buildings in the view, no structures, so it's kind of uncommon, unusual to find a long view of a meadow without a building or structure in the way.
Oh, this, oops, sorry. This whole view down, looking west.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we should keep moving along.
Okay, was that it, or was there one more on the eastern side?
I've got this one on Conlin, which had been a view looking west, and I think that's what you did.
Okay, long views of a farm field, tapering down towards like, yeah, so that one I said was nice. I adjusted the coordinate on that one.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for refining those. So nice. You can actually see the water from there.
That's what I wrote, as far as I remember.
All right, awesome.
And then there was one, did we talk about that one on the northwest there? Did we talk about that one already?
Oh, this one?
Yeah, did we already cover that one?
I think you had, what did you say? You didn't want to include it because the view actually from the original spot was really bad, but the view from this intersection of just as you turn from Ludlowville Road and go south on Ridge Road, which is where this is taken from, is actually kind of nice.
Okay, did you go to that coordinate that I suggested and take a picture? Is that what that picture is?
This was my making the case for the inventory needs some work. I took this picture when I made the first pitch for this project, and I think that you, because this was in your area and I didn't have any other pictures, I just dumped it in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess where the original one was, I didn't think it was that great. So I took a new coordinate there. But I see it looks like it's marked as red for delete.
Yeah, because I was sticking with yours and I just wanted to talk about this. If you like this, I would tend to delete it if it were here, but not if it were moved up to there.
I'm going to glance at my phone for a second to see if I took more pictures.
Yeah, and then what we could do is, if you find them, Robin, let's show them at the end.
Yeah. This one it actually does look very, I can see that Karen's picture is taken from a little further south from where I stood, but it's okay. It's okay. This is not my favorite view. Karen's picture is pretty accurate, but maybe a little further downhill. What is the best way to share photos with everyone? Should I put them in a Google Drive?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, once they're in the Google Drive, I can move them over to my Amazon site and dump them in.
Okay. I think that's all the ones in my area.
Okay.
Great.
So let's see, is John on the call or John Greenlee?
No, we don't know what has happened to him.
I was in touch with him earlier today, but I don't know, maybe something.
Oh, you were? Oh, okay. Because
Yeah.
Tom and I have been writing to him, but I haven't seen any response.
Yeah, we share a geothermal installer, and we both had service done on our systems today, so I know he was around.
Okay. Okay, I'm glad he's okay, because usually he's responsive. Well, let's just move to an area that's not his.
Okay, so this is John Fleming, and you're on the call, right?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
So,
I don't know if you want to start from the north and work down, maybe.
okay. How about this bad boy to start with?
Yeah, that was ugly. You did get my pictures, right? I don't know if they're going to show up here. Yeah.
Oh, it's a trash pile. Awesome.
So that's Penny's asphalt pile. So that's, yeah. And there wasn't anything either side of that that looked like it was
Okay.
that anyone would want to look at either.
You convinced us.
Well, yeah, that was easy.
Okay. This one I don't think I had a photo of, but you liked it.
Yeah, it's, and I'm sure someone like John Greenlee could get a better picture of it than what I did, but it's, you really have a pretty good view directly west down through the road. And, you know, you can basically see all the way across the lake.
Oh, wow. So it's a high point. Cool.
So I think that's one that, you know, like going into it, I knew what they were looking for, and it still looks like it's pretty decent from that perspective.
Okay.
And then
And there's this one.
Hillcrest, yeah, this was kind of disappointing to me, but where the original spot was, it was actually up over the crest of the hill. So I moved down so that you could see down towards McAlean's basically, and more towards the lake and the opposite lake shore. And it doesn't look as nice as I would have liked it to, with the, you know, the utility pole and everything in there. But for that location, that's probably about as good as we're going to get from there.
Would you want it to be part of the inventory though?
Probably. And again, if somebody's better at taking a good picture of it, you know, they might get a slightly better angle that it would look nice. But
Should I have moved this a little bit further to the northwest, Ben? I don't think I relocated it.
oh, yeah, definitely should have been.
Ooh.
We want to be over the crest of the hill.
Just take a quick look at so past this intersection with whatever this is, I can't remember what it's called.
Yes, you're above Trip Hammer Terrace, before Stormy View. Somewhere in there is probably as good as you're gonna get. Yeah, right about there is where I took it from.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Niter, that was basically overlooking the airport and then the hills to the south. And again, at a different time of the year, it might look better than what it did at that point. It doesn't even look like the one.
So what do you think? Does it rise to being characteristic or even interesting?
Well,
Yeah,
Robin,
think-
you would know
yeah.
for sure, but that's a really good birding area, isn't it? Snyder Road in there.
Oh, because of the rough light?
Yeah.
And I'm sure for the original inventory, there probably wasn't as much brush further out, and it was probably a better long view also than what it is now. It's just a lot of growth has happened since not particularly.
Yeah, I don't know if that's, looks like it's been mowed in the photo that I'm looking at that you added. It
Yeah, and the
might look
foreground
different at a
is-
different time of year.
and then it turns to brush beyond.
It's worth noting that areas that are attractive to birds are not always scenic. So compost heaps and airport runways can also be very attractive to birds. So yes, the airport is good for birds, but there's been a lot of issues about the mowing of it that is not great for birds.
But we're not talking about great for birds, we're talking about scenic, right?
Yeah, I don't know it as a scenic area. I know it as a, people go look for birds.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm hearing like a feedback tone. I'm not sure if others are hearing that or if it's just me.
I'm hearing it too.
Okay.
So I wouldn't mind revisiting that one at some point and see if I can get a better angle. Because I think what they were trying to do was get the South Hills in the background of that, and it didn't show up too well, at least in that picture. So I wouldn't get rid of it just yet, I guess.
And what they were originally saying was it was to the southwest and about a little less than
So you're looking off,
like, is the anything in Connecticut
kind
now?
of just off the tip of the lake, so in the hills.
All right, well, we can revisit that.
Yeah, sapsucker. The two that are right on the water, obviously, we probably only need one of the two. But they're both good. They're overlooking the swampy areas. It was obviously dry this year, but
I mean, I happen to think those are both beautiful areas. Was one of them overlooking the big white barn? Was that
I don't
part of?
know. I don't know if that got in either of the pictures. Are they coming up? Or?
Across the pond towards the lab, and this one is looking sort of along the long axis.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see. That's not the Kip's barn. Is just to the north.
Are the pictures showing up for anybody yet? Or?
Those, I didn't have a picture there, but I had a picture here.
The angles, they were both basically just looking over the water. You weren't really seeing a lot of, this is the only one with a structure in the background. And they're both nice. It's just a matter of who we want two of the, very similar, same area.
And then further.
And that one, I mean, it's not really anything special. It's just a little woods trail there.
Do you know, there is some artwork along the trails, like some large art installation. I wonder if it was near that. I'm gonna not really remember where exactly they are, but I wonder if there was supposed to be some art somewhere nearby.
So at that time, that would have definitely.
Yeah, the Andy Goldworthy's on the other side of the road here. Yeah, where the cursor is.
The big egg.
I think that probably postdated the inventory.
Yeah, maybe that other one isn't really much of anything. I would think that is a more Maybe they were just trying to get an enclosed forested view of a pond as opposed to an open one.
And there it was actually, the picture was facing away from any of the wetland areas. It was more into the dry land woods. So, you know, I was kind of curious as to why it was there, but obviously of the three, that would be my least favorite.
It's peculiar. On the other hand, is that right at the edge of the town of Lansing? Such that that dotted line there, if you went over the dotted line?
That's the line between the village of Lansing and the town of Ithaca.
Yeah. So maybe they're trying to show a wooded area that's still in the town of Lansing? But there was none other that was in the town that was part of Sapsucker?
Right. Unless there's others in some other people's areas, but yeah. It didn't seem to be anything out of the ordinary. So I wasn't sure why it was really there.
So do we want to delete that one on the sheet?
I would.
Yes.
Okay.
61. And then, John, there was this other point which might have gotten lost or maybe you didn't see. That's just technically, I guess it's just outside, right next to the lab.
And there wasn't a picture for that one?
That's just along the trail, and it's actually not a bad view.
There, yeah.
That one, yeah, I guess it's that view looking across towards the.
We got a picture of that, so if you don't have it, I can double check and make sure I get a hold of that one.
I think you did take a no. I mean, the picture is more for a discussion, and I think we know where this is. But, so that's looking across these.
Right.
Kind of a cool spot. So should we add
So
that?
it's just.
Is there a, what direction is that meant to be facing? Is it facing?
Facing west, northwest,
15,
northwest.
Just looking at the pond.
Edge of the marsh, yeah.
There is also a big sculpture there now in that general area that wouldn't have been there when the survey was done, but that would add some interest.
I would probably myself change about this is to change the direction of view to west, and then just call it like this, like a 90-degree view, but facing primarily west to take in this whole area.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be in favor of that. But you're going to put the point just inside the line so that it's still Lansing?
You can, yeah.
I mean, I would. Otherwise, we have to say that we're doing an inventory for Ithaca or something.
Okay. And I guess that is about it for John. We've got, how's everybody's endurance holding up? Because it's quarter
I
to.
should probably head out pretty soon.
I'm getting some really persistent feedback sounds that are making it difficult to hear you, Karen.
Yeah, I'm getting it. I'm getting them too.
Maybe I need to.
There we go. That's beautiful.
Better.
So Carrie, are you documenting all of these sites, or
Yeah.
are we going to?
I mean,
Okay.
they're on the spreadsheet, and I've been making notes, but we haven't really winnowed down very much. So that's going to be the challenge. I mean, maybe before people go, we should hear a little bit from CJ about this laser 3D mapping, so that we can get a better sense of what our goals are as we try to shave down the list for her. I mean, there's no problem with keeping a lot on the list, but we do have to make a decision of about a list of about 12 sites. So I don't know, CJ, do you want to just?
Yeah, I mean, it
plant the
could,
seed?
yeah, you don't necessarily, I guess it kind of depends on the scope of the project. I was thinking about a dozen, because that would be a pretty reasonable add-on to the work that we're doing already with the Parks, Recreation and Trails master plan in the town right now. But that's not to say that we couldn't do more, that we couldn't map more views if that was important to the CAC. Just need to scope out that project and of course budget for it. So it really kind of depends on the direction you're going. I figured just having about a 10 or 12 views would be a pretty good start, essentially.
And could you say what we will gain from this that we don't already have from our wonderful map?
Well, I sent a link. I hope it made
Yeah.
it to all of you. I think Carrie had included it in the email distribution, along with the for the agenda packet, I should say. The MJ Engineering and Land Surveying has this 3D scanning machine. It's basically like a little ATV that has a 3D scanner on it. And so they'll take essentially a full panoramic 360-degree views from each of the sites. So I think it would be really helpful to have, to me, especially as we're about to, probably, I'm guessing mid-year, sometime between, call it late April and late summer, we're probably going to see our first large scale renewable energy, and by renewable I mean solar, projects coming to the town. And so to me, it would be, I think, really helpful to have that data, because that's something that we can then hand over to a consultant team to be able to essentially help us during what will be kind of like a mega seeker review. The town won't be conducting its own environmental review. That will be done by the Office of Renewable Energy Siting. But to me, anything we can do to collect additional data to be able to, make arguments for specific types of visual mitigation would be, I think, super helpful. So, and I think it'd also be really great to have the 360 views of these particular points. If not, we could put them on like a story map site associated with Karen's really awesome map, and then people could scroll and see the 360-degree views, right from their computer, which is pretty cool too. So
we can plug it into the map. We could do that.
Yeah, and of course, like Carrie's saying, like Karen's saying, we can take that data and more or less plug it in wherever you want. So this was just kind of my thinking from this to kind of start this process of at least getting those foundational scenic views, or at least the most, what is the most distinctive again? Noteworthy?
Distinctive.
Okay, I can never remember which one is which. Just escape. It escapes me every time. I just can't get it in my head. So that's what I was thinking, is kind of capturing those and making them really into a showpiece that we can put online, and then also something that we can use as like a real tangible, actual, planning tool as well. So just an idea. I'm not mandated, but just an idea.
No, it's a great idea. I think will it be similar to a real estate site where you can look at a house and you'll be able to do a 360 of the neighborhood kind of? Is it going to be that type of a product?
Yeah, so they if you've got a chance to check out their website, you can see a couple of their projects and you can click on them and see essentially what they do with this technology. They basically run a little ATV or put a ATV where it is that you want it, and it's either moves and scans, or it stays put and just takes a 360-degree view. And it's my understanding is that it's so high resolution that they're able to put it into CAD files to be able to build stuff or plan down to the inch. So they're very precise is my understanding. So they've been used on some pretty cool projects. So definitely check out that link that Carrie sent, just for kind of entertainment value, if nothing else. But like I said, I am anticipating that we're going to see these large projects, and if we're able to, hand some of this data over to consultants who then can, maybe even build on it, I think we'll be in a good place as far as at least visual mitigation goes, because that's going to be a big, I think going to be a big part of the review. So anything we have to bolster those cases, I think, is really helpful. And PS, we can use it for anything else in the town, is not necessarily solar. Any kind of development, essentially, that's coming into town can be asked to provide mitigation based on this criteria, essentially. And so, and then furthermore, of course, this will be baked into the scenic overlay districts as well. So yeah, I think there's a lot we can do with it, like a lot. So I think it's worthwhile.
To identify some criteria, in terms of that narrowing down to 12, or I assume we have a little leeway, like 16 or something we might choose, but we wouldn't want them, for example, all to be lake views. It's not like, we might want to make sure we have a couple that are maybe creek views, a couple of bridge views, a couple for, kind of some, make sure we do capture the range of types of views that we have in the region, and not just kind of random. It seems very random what we're doing here. I don't quite get it. So if we're going to narrow it down, it seems like we should decide, not real specifically, but say, make sure we have a couple in the mix that represent some of the main kind of types of views we get in the area. So living here, of course, lake views do kind of dominate. I live on the lake, I'm all for that. But there's some really cool bridges, waterfalls, maybe a couple historic buildings that are particularly cool. I don't know, we might want to just that a little bit in terms of that narrowing down process.
Yeah, so Dave, you weren't on at the beginning of the Zoom call, but I showed in the spreadsheet how we're using some of the counties, all of the counties' same subcategories of lake, stream, distant view. We didn't come to a decision on how we would spread our choices over that array, but at least we have it on the spreadsheet so that it'll remind us if we choose all lake views, it's going to be a little bit skewed. And I don't think we will choose them, but I'm not sure we're really ready to actually do that yet. We're just kind of going through all the points.
Just to make sure we get a few, just like I said, we don't have 100%.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. So we would still have John Greenlee's and yours, Tom, and Andra's to go through, and
mine.
Karen, yours, right? Which is a sizable amount of stuff. So what's the
shall we evaluate the ones we've already looked at and decide which we think are the best?
That could be really helpful for our work next time, because I think next time we're going to have a slew of other points to consider. And so we might want to just consider these.
Right.
If it's useful, I'm happy to share the spreadsheet.
Why
Well-
don't we do this? Why don't you, if you could, make an edit to the spreadsheet so that each of us has a column on the spreadsheet where we can make our rankings for those three areas I think that we looked at. It's almost 8 o'clock, and I took the 1 hour estimation for the
Okay.
meeting time seriously, and so
Okay.
I'm probably gonna need to get off soon.
Okay.
So I think that like looking at it as a homework assignment to sort of sit and play with the map, and I will this weekend put the rest of the photos in, but I got to get a grant proposal in tomorrow, so I can't stay on anymore.
Okay.
So I think
Well, thank you, Karen.
I think homework assignment would be great.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks a lot. I mean, you've done a lot. This is great.
I'll redo the spreadsheet then.
And oops, is Karen gone?
I'm still here. I just stopped my share.
Okay. Well, good luck with your proposal.
Thank you. It's like, being able to eat for the next 2 years. That's good.
Always great.
Positive thing. All right. So I'm gonna run, but thank you everybody for your patience with this kind of crazy iterative process, and we'll look forward to the next gathering.
I'll send the email around with the link to the Google folder that I shared in the chat so that you can look at the photos.
You might need to grant us permission, Robin.
Oh, is it asking for that?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't realize that. Okay, well, I'll organize them a little better and maybe winnow it down to some of the better photos, and then I'll share the permission.
Okay, and just a point of clarification, when I send out this grid to everybody, we will need people to be able to put their preferences on there. Are we asking for CAC members to designate what they think it would be distinctive and noteworthy views?
Yes.
And should they be doing that for all of them, or waiting until, like, you present, Tom, Karen presents, Andra, do we wait?
If there are photos there, we could probably go ahead and do it for all of them. But I don't think there are photos for
Definitely John Greenlee's.
Yeah, I was not able to get a hold of him today.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the story is.
I'm a little worried that, I take your comment to heart, Dave, that a random process is about to become more random. I can send out the spreadsheet, but I think I need to make really clear instructions, especially for the people who aren't here. And it could be rather confusing for them. They might not be able to find their way around the map very well. On the other hand, what do you folks think? I mean, we've had an introduction to a whole bunch of sites. Should we vote while that's fresh in our mind and just do the best we can?
I think we need to see all of them if we are limited in a total number of sites. I don't know that.
I mean,
Judgment.
I wouldn't mind a suggestion from the photographers who are more intimate with the regions they looked at. I don't know, how many people did that, and if each person identified the top 5, that would be useful information for those of us who are looking through them. I think, I don't know, be useful to see the people who really know the area and were really physically there, what they thought were the best spots. And then maybe if we narrowed it down to like something like, a number bigger than 12, but then going to some kind of criteria, saying, well, we identified, let's say 20 or 25 that seem to rank quite high. And then we say, well, we need to narrow that down to maybe 12 or 16. And then we think, well, this is where we maybe draw some lines up. We want to make sure we get some different types in there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so just so I'm really clear, I'll say this back. So we're gonna try to integrate the photographs. So like Robbins, and if we can get John Greenlee's, we integrate those. I redo the spreadsheet to have a column for every CAC member. And then regardless of whether a CAC member has kind of presented their sites or not, we still try to get some voting system in place as homework for the next meeting.
It seems to me that each person would be the best voter of their own area and would make the recommendations about whether or not to keep it or delete it. And if you make it a Google Doc, then other people can just kind of make a comment or weigh in if they really strongly disagree with it. But I don't know if I feel like I should be voting on sites I've never really been to based on one picture who may or may not be a good photographer.
Well,
What if each person just made a decision on their own and region, and if at the end it's still way too many, then, you know, give us a total number that we can have and we'll get down to that number.
So we have to make a selection of more than whether we're just going to keep it or delete it.
Right. I mean, I think there's value to having a scenic inventory that is broader than you know, just the 12 that we're gonna have this, you know, special 360 photography for. You know,
Yeah.
we even talked about whether we should prioritize sites that are in the path of the NYSEG line. So there are plenty of criteria at work here.
How about if the photographers decide on some, if there's some they feel like could really just be deleted, let them make that executive decision, or at least make that suggestion on your score sheet, and then we have kind of and then the rest of us rank what's remaining, and we'll probably have, you know, whatever, but we rank them somehow 1, 2, or 3 or something, with 1 being top choice, and come up with a scoring thing and identify the top 12 to 15 or 20 or something. I think it's going to be deleted, the areas, and just have a few of those deleted so we don't, you know, get some of the fluff out of there. And then, but I do agree with two lists. One which is really worked to narrow it down to 12 or some small number like that. And then it has some representation. And then a bigger number, which might be, I don't know, 30 or 40, which, or more, 50 or something, that, you know, make sure and stay in there. But there's some that maybe just don't even look very good, not very appealing, not very convincing to anybody.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one thing we have done is we've ground truthed, and we're going to remove a little bit of the chaff.
So how many categories are we going to have? We're going to have the distinctive, noteworthy, and okay.
Characteristic. Yeah. So
and delete.
Yeah. So I'll just bring that up again. So it'll look something like this. We've got this, you know, somewhat started, and then these are the points that are assigned for these 3: distinctive, noteworthy, and characteristic. And then I could change this to, you know, photographer or something, so we don't get confused. And then I could put in here, we were going to do is the view of 360, that kind of a thing. That's view degrees. But we could, you know, we could have people's initials all in here. And then if we do all want to have some say, maybe people could just go through and say, okay. But I'm also hearing the group saying that you know, like for my section, I've got some of these bold faced because they were really quite beautiful, and you know, I would have ranked them distinctive, but I wanted to kind of see what the group process was. Now I'm hearing the CAC members saying, well, listen, those who were there, why don't they just make a proposal?
Yeah, okay.
Which is fine. That's fine with me,
Yeah.
as long as everybody's okay with that.
I think that, I mean, that it's hard to say if something's distinctive if we end up seeing something way better in a different region that we haven't yet discussed. So I'm trying to
That's the tricky part. Yeah, exactly. Compared
we're all
to
the experts only on our own region, and maybe
Right.
we can make those initial assessments, and then we can self-revise if we later learn that our point was not that great compared to what else is out there.
Right. I did, in trying to figure out how to do this, I did read about how the county decided, and they had somewhat of a charrette where they took photographs, and of course photographs were taken in different ways, different times, different quality, but they did the best they could, and they had people go around a room and actually vote based on the photographs and descriptions. And CJ, you might know more about that process that they used, but at least that's what they wrote up in their report as like a very in-person process. And we're hampered by Zoom to some degree, but we'll just do the best we can.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, I could just, if we want to clean up the spreadsheet, the Brickyard Road site, I think could go. I have a photo of it here I can share with you if you want, but if you're looking for something to cut right now, you can cut this one.
I think cutting a few would be useful. I think if people cut them, don't think they really stack up.
Yeah, so that would be helpful. What site is that, Robin? I'll make a note of it. Brickyard
Road.
37. Yeah, you have a D on that. So what I could do is I could actually create a list that is minus the D sites for delete. That would make it easier, I think.
Well, I see where Karen has disagreed with me about the Cuba Lake End one, but the Brickyard Road, I see somebody has to go. Brickyard Road, if you want to just look at it really quickly, and I don't know if I can share my screen, but I think we could all agree.
I'll stop sharing so you can do it.
I suppose if we all picked like 20 that were our top choices individually, we might end up with 5 to 10 that we all agree on. And so they would be definites, and then work from there. I don't know. A lot of ways to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Are you seeing the yes. Lovely parking lot of the sports complex?
A very nice light.
I couldn't find anything close to this point. I think this one, I think we could just delete it. It's
I do a Joni Mitchell song about parking lots.
Okay. There might be some value in the others, but this one I couldn't find any value in it. So maybe we can just decide that one can go.
If you like sports, it might be, I think, football when I see that. So.
All right, so I'll tweak the spreadsheet. I will attempt to, maybe I'll look at, Heather, I'll look at your notes. Figure out what we said.
Yeah, I've got I'll share these photos with everyone, and maybe we can pick a few to go in the map, and maybe just what makes it into the map.
Well, what would be ideal, Robin, is after Karen finishes her grant, if she could take the photos and put them into the map so they're all in the, just like all the other photos. And then people will click on it and they can see it. They can essentially make a decision. And then
can you only add one photo to the map? Or can
I don't think so. I think you can add more.
Multiples, okay. Sometimes I would take it various directions based on not being able to get everything in one shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. CJ, you're the planner. Any comments on our planning?
I think you guys are doing great. I mean, this is pretty methodical as far as these things go. And I think Karen really did a great job with the mapping. And yeah, you guys are just humming right along. So all of you put in a lot of great work. So thank you very much. It's going to come in very useful.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, so shall we adjourn the meeting?
we shall.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you,
Great.
everybody. Happy
Thank
New
you
Year.
all so much.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
See you soon.